putting a new battery in the Jeep. I let it sit for too long without putting it on the tender, and the battery ended up not only discharging, but I lost a few cells in it. Luckily, I go over to Christian Brothers for my batteries, and they have a 5-year warranty over there. So I just bring in the old one. They give me a brand new battery. I give them $10, and they start the 5-year clock all over again. So it's a pretty good deal. So getting the battery back in the Jeep so I can get it fired up. Follow the line. Make sure it's negative. That is negative. What you're hearing here is an electronic Holley fuel pump. Handful of years ago, I switched from the old school manual fuel pump that I've been running for close to 20 years, switched over to an electric. If I let the vehicle sit for too long, the diaphragm dries out on that manual one, and it's a nightmare. The electronic has made my life a million times better. I noticed something leaking in the driveway, so I started to investigate, see what's going on, and see where it's all coming from. I also noticed I got a lot of smoke and stuff. I figured maybe I had a little carbon buildup from it sitting for so long, but this fluid was a little concerning. It's coming from just about everywhere around the engine. Basically, I've discovered a lake of gasoline where my intake manifold should be. I have all those valleys and those channels, and they are full and overflowing with gas. Here I am throwing away a vacuum cap that I need for the carburetor. Picked this up for basically $4 on Amazon. I could have went to the hardware store, but it was just a lot easier to grab this. Real simple. You know, they got bigger kits, but to be honest, I mean, how many vacuum caps am I going to need over the course of time? This will probably last me more than enough. That is the vacuum line that lost a cap. And when I say lost a cap, I mean the one that popped off when the fuel was flooding everywhere, and then I tossed it like a bonehead, not realizing what I was doing. So let's get that back on there where it belongs. Let's climb up in the Jeep like a goofball. Let's get that back in there. Slide that all the way in. It's a little long, but I don't see that being a problem. Doesn't seem to be any oil leak or fuel leaks. Still looking dry. Don't see any fluid. As you can see, started up pretty easy. I don't see any kind of fluid coming out, so I think it really just came down to the fact that I overflowed the bowl and everything else, and it was just dumping fluid. It's got nothing to regulate when and how much is coming out. So I'm pretty satisfied that this was an easy fix, and it wasn't catastrophic. So that's obviously the most important part. Take it down on the item. Get a little bit of exhaust, but I honestly don't think that's from it burning or anything. Because it's cold up here. We got this rain on. It's not the best day outside. But that grass, it's going to green up soon. Fix, fellas. So I'd say that was a pretty easy fix. Luckily, you know, I'm intimate with this vehicle. You know, I built it from the ground up. I can always go over that later with you guys as to what I've done over the next month will be 24 years of having owned this specific vehicle. So I've torn it all the way down, built it all the way back up, but I digress. Being intimate with this vehicle, I was able to diagnose it pretty quick, figure out what went wrong, what was happening, and be able to address it as I needed to. Fortunately, it wasn't anything that was catastrophic, and it didn't end up catastrophic. So I'm pretty happy about that. But again, that's why it's important to pay attention to what you're doing. You know, in hindsight, I have a bad habit of this. Sometimes I'll let a vehicle sit for several months on end. I hadn't drove this one in 4 or 5 months. And, you know, things go wrong. And I was thinking ahead like, oh, I'll just let it run a little bit more. And instead, what I came out with was excessive fuel pouring everywhere and a lake of fuel. So more fuel for the fire. But anyways, Turned out to be a good one. Easy fix. Adios, amigos. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's episode about the CJ-7. And if you would, go ahead and hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Share it with your friends. And as always, don't forget to subscribe. All right, guys. Until next week, have a good one.